Hey now, welcome to Fitz's Electric Bar, the summer version, the summer series. Another beautiful day here in the Pacific Northwest. Got my little dancing bear. Enjoyed recently with a couple friends some of the shows that Dead and Company gave at Golden Gate Park. So, of course, wasn't there in person. I shouldn't say of course. Certainly crossed my mind, but enjoyed watching Nugs and watched most of the three shows. So that's a 12-hour commitment. My wife is very understanding, and I've got friends like Dave and Chris who want to watch a lot of Dead and Company. So that's great. I know there are a lot of people. Mazzy had kind of ranted a little bit about how the show should be free. It kind of amused me in a way because it reminded me of when people said that the shows should be free way back in the day for Grateful Dead shows. So I guess that hasn't really changed. And I get it. A lot of people talk about it being a cash grab, and I'm just kind of like, well, whatever. You know, you can go or you can not go. You don't have to necessarily get upset about the fact that it costs or it costs a lot of money. But they were fun shows. And the opening acts, Billy Strings, whom I'm going to go see for the first time, luckily here in Vancouver, he's playing a club, the Commodore. And I know that in the States he's becoming quite a successful and well-followed artist, so he plays much bigger venues. So this will be really awesome to see him in the Commodore in a small club. And Sturgill Simpson, whom I've only seen a little bit during his pandemic Ryman auditorium performances, which were very sort of bluegrassy and country, more bluegrass. He was very powerful. He and his band were very powerful. They covered Whiter Shade of Pale, the Procol Harum song, did a really great version of it. As they started performing it, I thought, oh my God, they're doing All the Young Dudes. It's got a very similar intro, which I had never really realized before. But that was really good. And then the third night was Trey Anastasio. To be honest, I don't love his stuff as much, and I still want to find my way into Fish, but I wasn't as crazy. There's something about his guitar playing that I find less emotive and more math, and that's just my opinion. So there you go. Dancing Bears. So I've got some records I want to talk about, and also just say that we're winding down the Fitz interview series. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying it. I've mentioned how much I've enjoyed meeting these people on Tuesday. Next week I've got Chris from The Long Cut, and really an enjoyable interview with him. You know, I've enjoyed interviewing everybody, but it's really interesting how you just really connect with some people on a kind of deeper level, and you just feel like you've known them forever. Chris is one of those guys. I just found that the conversation flowed very, very easily. Really enjoyed it, and feel like I've known the guy for forever. So it's a good one, I think. Chris is always very open in sharing his stories, and he's got a lot of good stories. I hope you check that out. And then I've got Tim over at Noisy Records, who I met in San Miguel de Allende when my wife and I were there in Mexico in the spring. And Tim loves to talk, and I love to listen. So Tim also great stories, lots of tangents, really fun, and that'll be up on Friday. So hope you enjoy that. Records, some stuff that I've been listening to and that I've got recently. Some of it just stuff that I've been listening to. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about, I've talked about Chet Baker on this channel a little bit. And again, one of the things that I find so intriguing about Chet is that his late career work, even though he was in the thralls and had been for many years of heroin addiction, did some great live performances in the latter part of his life. So I want to kind of touch on a few of those, and some that I really enjoy, and maybe a couple that have been a little disappointing to me in the latter part of his life, and then a whole bunch of other records with some thoughts on those. So here we go. The intro, and I've talked about this before, into Chet Baker for me actually came with this record. So this is Chet Baker. My favorite songs. There are actually two records. I've just got this first one. There's a second one. This was literally recorded 2 weeks before Chet Baker's death. So this was recorded, I believe, in Germany, in Europe. I've talked about this a little bit before. Does a cover of Miles Davis's All Blues, My Funny Valentine, Summertime. But the playing on this is really, really sweet, and the singing. you can hear the vulnerability, you can hear things kind of wavering, both vocally and on his trumpet, but somehow it makes it more poignant rather than feeling less confident, and somehow it works for me. So I love this record. I'm going to be going to Europe in the fall, and I'm going to be keeping my eyes open to see if I can find the second volume of this. Will be really good. So knowing how much I love that live performance, and also I'd lived in Japan for a while, I was kind of intrigued with his Chet's Japan performances. And the next thing I got in kind of chronological order of purchase is this one called Memories. This is actually a 2 CD box, and this represented the last performances, I believe, that Chet Baker did in Japan, and they were recorded live June of 1987. Now, Chet Baker first went to Japan, as I understand it, which surprised me that he hadn't been there beforehand, given that the Japanese are huge jazz fans, but was 1986. So during Record Store Day this last year, there were 2 records, Volume 1, Volume 2, of Chet and his first visit to Japan in Sendai. And so this one is Chet's performance in 1986. Again, first visit, so he does 4 tracks. If I Should Lose You, Broken Wing, But Not For Me, and Round Midnight. These are on a kind of green vinyl. I've did the Google Translate because all of this is a Japanese release, so all of the liner notes are all in Japanese. So I did a Google Translate, and it's a little clunky, but I really want to read what the Japanese the people who are doing the liner notes. I want to hear what they have to say. So that was one, and this one, sorry, it's a little clunky here. There only were 1,000 released from this. So this was number 162 out of 1,000, again, on Record Store Day, this last Record Store Day. Not a cheap record, single record, $65. But I was excited to get late career Chet, and so I picked that up. And this one is the Volume 2, again, of Sendai. And on this particular one, we've got 4 Miles Davis track, My Funny Valentine, Stella by Starlight, and There'll Never Be Another You. And with this one, it was release number 3, kind of fun, of 1,000. Same configuration in terms of the vinyl color and all that kind of stuff. I will say, not only were these expensive, I don't really love those records, the Record Store Day ones. I think the performance seems a little more generic. It doesn't really have the emotive quality, and the sound quality isn't fantastic. It's a little bit high end. It doesn't have the rich bottom end and warmth that the other records have. So it kind of feels like a bit of a mistake. So I may look to offload those at some point in time. But this one here, this was the second visit Chet made to Japan. And this was actually released, I guess, on vinyl on 2 records. First one was released in '88, and it was called Memories, so a year after it was recorded. And the second one, second release was in 1989, 4. And those are the tracks again on this. This is much closer to that My Favorite Songs one that I was showing earlier. The production on this is fantastic. It's a really well recorded, and the performance is definitely more confident and much richer. So I really enjoy this one. Do recommend it. And I think it does come in a different name as far as the vinyl, and I think it's the 2 singles. So again, Memories is the first record and 4 is the second record, but you can get it compiled here on Memories, Chet Baker in Tokyo. Recorded in 1987. This was, I believe, his second visit to Japan and his last visit to Japan, because Chet died in, I believe, the spring of 1988. And as I mentioned, a couple weeks after that recording that was done in Europe. So that's my little Chet stuff. Picked up this recently from Red Cat Records, Then Play On, Fleetwood Mac. This was a 1969 release, and it does have Peter Green in the lineup. Some really beautiful blues playing, some great rock playing. It's a really good record. I remember Mazzy talking about how much he really likes this record, and I think this is a reissue recently, not an audiophile one particularly, but I've been enjoying listening to that. Been going through a bit of a Donald Byrd kick. I loved and love Kofi. That release has been something I've really enjoyed. This is a very soulful and somewhat funky record, also just recently released. So Stepping Into Tomorrow, really enjoyed this record. This is really good. Been playing this a lot. You know, sometimes you get stuff and I'll play it once or twice and I kind of just like file it away, and I like having it in my collection. It feels a little bad because you're not really taking the time to really enjoy it and think, oh, I'll listen to it later. But it's really nice when you get something and you go, oh, I really enjoy this, and you play it a lot like it's, you know, it's a new record. It is a new record for you, even though it's an old release. This one I've had been listening to on streaming for quite a long time. Gil Scott-Heron, a late career release. Some really great spoken word stuff. The first track on Coming From a Broken Home, really, some devastating kind of stuff, just really talking about being raised by his grandmother and, coming from a broken home, as the name suggests. Me and the Devil, this is just an awesome song. It's, I assume it's about him and his addictions and having the devil beside him, but really great track. Highly recommend this. I think this is really a great way to really take in late career Gil Scott-Heron. I don't know his discography super well, but this one is excellent, really, really good. I've been picking it up gradually, some Cassandra Wilson recordings. She's on Blue Note. And this one here is either a tribute to or recordings of Miles Davis. So this is called Traveling Miles, and it's a double record. Cassandra's got a really nice voice. I guess in some ways she's a bit like Diana Krall. I don't know why, I kind of like her more. Production on here is fantastic. The track that I think is just great, one of the most joyful songs ever, I think, is Right Here, Right Now, which is off that track 3 off the first side of this, Cassandra Wilson. Traveling Miles, a record that I've had on CD and played to death. I first got this when I was living in Japan in the early 90s, and it's come out recently on vinyl. So great. So Brian Eno, John Cale, some really great stuff on here. Spinning Away, Empty Frame. Yeah, it's very upbeat. It's got some of that great Brian Eno vocalizing and harmonies that is so unique. This is an excellent record. Just love it. Another one that an artist that I just kind of dipping my toe into is Gigi Mason. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, M-A-S-I-N. He plays with Greg Fote. He's a keyboard player. And he's done this record. It may have been part of an art project, but this is kind of about Venice, Venezia. Wonderful image on the front. It's very atmospheric, as you'd expect. All instrumental, and really, really liking this record. It's really, really nice. I feel like it's another kind of Greg Fote type record. Late night listening for sure. Wonderful. Gigi Mason and Venezia. It was out on CD, but I think it's only recently been released on vinyl. My old friends and favorites, the Skydiggers, their first record. It's a picture of them at Ontario Place in Toronto, doing a live gig. Wayne on drums there, Andy, Ronnie Van Johnny, and just out of the picture a little bit, Josh Finlayson. Skydigger is a great kind of, I don't know what you would call roots rock band, a band that I used to go see in Toronto in the late 80s all the time, in the Cabana Room and the Elvis Mondays, and just an awesome band. And many people would know maybe it's just not good enough, and I Will Give You Everything, which I think in Canada is considered one of the greats, one of the great songs, just a beautiful track. I have been listening a lot. This is a Record Store Day release, and I've talked about this before, but David Sylvian, it's a compilation. It's called Camphor. It's got some stuff with Holger Zuke on it, and it's also got a little bit of stuff with Steve Nye and Robert Fripp. And the track Wave off of this on side one, I've talked about it before, but I just can't get enough of it. I absolutely love it. 2-record set. Again, I don't know whether it's available still, but this has been a record that I've really enjoyed immensely. Again, back shortly with some more Fitz interviews. They're going to go straight through until the end of August, and then they'll run its course. And I've really enjoyed it. It's been really, really good. So I hope you're having a great summer. Carpe diem, MFs.